Good morning. Welcome to Building a Better Future, Innovations in Sustainability, Social Justice, and Entrepreneurship. Super excited for this panel because you all three work in all of these different realms and in various cities. So how about we just kick it off? Would love for this to just be an organic conversation, but let's go ahead and kick it off with some introductions um, around the room. And how about we started off with Terry? I know Terry, you're a speaker around the world, so I know you're ready for this. Let's start with Terry.
So hey everybody, I'm excited to be here. I'm Terry Green, the CEO and founder of Think Make Live Youth, a nonprofit. Just a little bit about my story. Originally from Toledo, Ohio, moved here to Columbus, Ohio, by the ages of 11 years old. By 15 years old, I was a homeless youth. By 20 years old, I was sentenced to serve 4.5 years in prison. Watched my best friend lose his life to gun violence. Been through a lot of trauma, from the foster care system to just being a disadvantaged youth. After getting out of prison, had the opportunity to be engaged in a program called Youth Build. And being engaged with that program gave me the opportunity to travel around the country, and be a part of different youth-led movements, and also get quality training from organizations like Everyday Democracy, Today's For Americans Forest Foundation, a lot of different foundations and organizations. While I was incarcerated, I took a program offered by The Ohio State University called the Inside Out Prison Exchange Program, which I have been in different prisons, including a prison where I served my sentence, speaking, facilitating different engagements. So I'm an all-around social justice leader, leading this organization, Think, Make, Live Youth, with a program to do gun violence prevention and also record expungement. I got my record expunged in 2020, so went through that process, in the process of getting my pardon, and just grassroots social justice leader supporting young people right here in Central Ohio.
Love that. And Patrice, how about you go next? I think in Andy's career, and Andy has, he's the most seasoned on the panel, right? So he has a vast history. So I want him to go last because I know he's picking up on a little on your backgrounds.
Okay, well, thank you, Manny, for having me. Good morning, everyone. I am Patrice Chappelle. I am the co-founder and co-CEO of Melon Brand Skin LLC, which is a natural, safe, and effective skincare company for Black and brown children. My 12-year-old, who is Braun Eccles, is also co-founder, co-CEO, so I have him equally involved in the business with me. We just launched in May, so we are relatively new, although we are gaining a lot of traction with new customers, so we're very excited about that. I am originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so I'm also from the Midwest. I live in Northern Virginia, so I've been here for about 14 years. And this is not my first business. This is actually my first product-based business, but I also was doing service-based some years prior to this, as a writer and a published author, and also doing some PR and media. So I've had an opportunity to write for national media publications such as the HuffPost, as well as Essence and some other big names. So I'm very excited to be here and to speak with the panel and to answer any questions you all may have. Thank you.
Cool. And Andy?
Well, first thing is, I just want to say it's really an honor to be on the panel with Patrice and Terry. You both have phenomenal backgrounds, and as I was listening to you, I probably have more questions for you, because I think the businesses you have and the approaches you're using are just amazing. My background is really as a serial entrepreneur. I started off in sales, which is kind of ironic because I didn't like it, and so I stopped doing that, and now I find that that's all I'm doing, and so it's a little easier now, but just kind of in that, that whole evolution. Uh, yeah, I've done a lot of consulting for major corporations. I've worked with a lot of banks, a lot of insurance companies, not so much in manufacturing. And, in the late 1990s, early 2000s, I just decided I was done with the consulting business. And so I wanted to get, more, uh, into small business. And so, I started on the path that led us to where we are now. And so I am right now the founder and acting CEO of a company called Prodigy or Go Prodigy. And what we're doing is we're building enterprise investment grade software that help corporations and other organizations make the transition to sustainability. And so, issues like systemic information innovation, information flow, democratizing of information, being able to essentially work with people where sustainability, rather than it being an event, sustainability becomes part of the fabric of what they do on a day in and day out basis. And so from a vision point of view, which I really appreciated, kind of hearing thoughts from the prior panel, is at the end of 2 or 3 years, what I'd like to be is really the company that when company wants to the solution that when a company comes to make the decision that they want to really go through sustainable transformation, that we're the premier company in that space that they come to. We're a startup. We're not even actually formally launched yet. And so that's happening on the 1st of January. We're still working on our messaging, trying to figure out how we explain this to people. And, are probably, most of our targets are board members and, members of the C-suite, probably mostly CFO, chief sustainability officer, that kind of thing. We've got state-of-the-art technology. We're a joint venture with a company called Soothsayer Analytics. Soothsayer's based in Livonia, Michigan. And they're one of the premier data science and artificial intelligence consulting firms in the world. So, combined, we have a team of data scientists, engineers, developers, of in the 120 to 140, person range. We have a lot of subject matter experts. And so we're really a pretty agile and we can do pretty much anything. And so, I think that's anything in data science and AI. And so, that's basically me. I can tell I've immediately put everyone else to sleep.
Cool. Well, so I guess, for with Patrice, she works with a lot of well, I guess in terms of sustainability in small businesses, SMEs, right? How can they tackle that from your perspective, Andy?
Well, I think that when you look at the market, I think having solutions that are pretty static, actually. I think that the kinds of questions that they're going to want to be able to answer are really systematized. So, as an example, banks right now are being mandated to incorporate sustainability into their credit decisions, their investment decisions, their reporting, and all of that. And so I think a lot of the companies out there, will have systems that they make available where you essentially upload your data, and put it together. I think the bigger question, is about purpose. What are you in business for? And so Terry, I thought it was really interesting when you were talking about your background, and the fact that you're a nonprofit. And so, I'd be really interested to get your perspective on just the whole area of sustainability and, social justice. To so many people, it's a word that they bandy around all the time, but what does it really mean? And so how would you kind of look at those, the issues in the within the realm of your business?
Well, to me, it's definitely about, relationships. And it's about, so for me, a lot of the relationships that I've built has been the reason why I've got the funding and the support, right? Building relationships with the government, building relationships with foundations, building relationships with people who work in those government jobs and work in those foundation positions has been my area of success. And then being able to, be ready to have yourself in a system. What does that look like? Become a vendor of your local city, become a vendor of, whether your local schools. So when those bids come out for those RFPs, which is called request for proposals, then you can be able to apply, whether it's a grant or whether it's a special proposal, whether it's coming from a foundation. Get on their newsletters as they send out the information about their RFPs and have these webinars. I go to a lot of different webinars too. Foundations have webinars that give you those practical tools and just the practical ways of how to apply for the grant. But in that process, you're actually meeting the staff who actually runs and maybe reviews the grant, right? So then you get the chance to build those organic relationships. And so for me, that's been the value of like sustainability, because I've been running this organization for 7 years now. And there's been ups and downs in terms of funding wise. And then there's also been targeted funding towards specific time, right, period. When COVID-19 happened, there was a lot of response grants that aligned to our programs and aligned to our mission, and aligned to the work that we was doing, that we was able to leverage from. So sometimes disaster grants and those type of grants are still out here that can kind of support your efforts. And so I love the work that you guys got going on. I got a question, I guess, for you, Andy. With organizations like mine, with Think, Make, Live Youth, working with young adults, what are some of the best ways that we can show our impact, right? Like, I mean, that's what we're trying to work on, is just figuring out ways to like leverage what we do to the broader community.
That's a tremendous question, because, from a like for corporations, from a corporate perspective, so many companies out there are still polishing their reputations. Okay, so I think if you had targeted grants as an example. So let me step back a little bit. We could literally provide data that shows how a neighborhood is being affected by all of the metrics that are produced in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, and so I think that more granular we get, the more effective that we get. So it's in some areas, it's almost like taking control back, of the city, neighborhood by neighborhood. The other thing that I think is something that we've been playing with is you're all familiar with the concept of Moneyball. Okay, and so they had a movie a few years ago where there were some teams out there that pioneered the idea that you use data and statistics to kind of drive your next step. So what I'm suggesting is the first step is understand the environment that you're working in. But then I think the second thing is having heavy user feedback. So it's almost like if you do a training program, that tracking those people over time, that training that you go through, sooner or later you're gonna have the information that tells you what works, and what doesn't. So it helps shape your next initiative, your next program, your next series of grants. And, and then that also begins to uh, take the area of social justice and starts to provide meaning to it. So right now, this is my assumption, but if I was, as an example, Terry, looking to issue a grant, okay, I would buy you. I'd buy into you and what you're doing and what you believe. But I think at some point, if you had some data and statistics behind that that can show the effectiveness of what you're doing, I think that, the whole fundraising process and everything you're doing moving forward, would become easier. uh, and then what works and what doesn't, and not just like you and I sitting around saying, "Gee, I thought this was really great," but from the point of view of this is really the impact we've had. How are we changing people's lives? How are we lifting people up? Uh, you know, and some, and I think that's a major component. Patrice, by the way, I love the fact that your son is co-CEO with you. I've never met anybody that's done that before. I think it's fabulous. But also, I looked really quick online, and so, also the whole area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That whole topic is so much under political fire right now because it's been politicized. Uh, I read that the other day, one of the senators from the state of Ohio sent a letter to Ohio State demanding to know what they were doing with ESG. Okay, well, ESG is an accounting method. And so I would say, well, we're doing really well, by incorporating that into our accounting. Uh, and so when you look at this whole topic, how do you get meaning to it? How do you get people to really understand, really what you're doing? Uh, and I think that's a big challenge. And from Melon Brand, I think that that also has an impact because it sounds to me like what you're doing is very organic. Uh, and that's what people want.
That sounds good, Andy. Thank you for the compliments on that. So the inspiration behind, I'll just say this really quick. The inspiration behind my business and bringing Braun into this is because over the years we struggled, trying to find a product that was suitable for his skin when he was younger. If you go to any major retailer like Target, Walmart, you will not find skincare for children on the market. You have things for babies, face, body wash, and then you have the adults. It skips completely over the kids. So this was something that we battled over the years. And he doesn't have any specific like skin conditions or anything. It was just a matter of, I was a health conscious parent and wanted my son to be able to embrace all aspects of hygiene. So putting on deodorant, taking his baths, brushing teeth, washing hands, all the things, including skincare. So this is how this came about. I just have a really quick question for you, Andy, and then I have a question for Terry. So for one, with you being in sales and having that background, what is the best way to put together like a well-defined process for your sales? We're, product-based pretty much. I don't really have a process for sales outside of, okay, we have an e-commerce store, we market online, we do the social media marketing, but what would be a good way for someone like myself who's new to this to put together, I guess, some more defined process for sales?
Well, that's a great question. And I think Manny has a lot more expertise in this area as an example than I do. But I think that I always come back to where's the data, because the data begins to define your process. And so I read a really uh, interesting piece about a year ago that really talked about managing each step of a customer's journey. And so what do you want them to know at each step? Where do you go to? How do you get people to buy into your concept? Just getting to people and then cutting through all the noise. Of you're inundated by thousands of commercials every day if you watch regular TV or listen to commercial radio, or heaven forbid if you do something like looking up something that you might be interested in buying at some point just because it's fun. The next thing you know, you're inundated with all these targeted ads, uh, for that. So how do you break through that clutter? So, I think getting that central message going, and then once you have it, then you just basically ride it and, and pull all the data together. So, you know exactly what you're doing. I also think that one of the panelists earlier said you have to listen to your customer. You have to really know what they're saying. And so you have feedback mechanisms that are built into what you're doing. And I think the more information that you get back from people, I think the more effective it becomes. Those feedbacks also become effectively your testimonials.
Very true. And it's funny you say that because about maybe 3 months ago, I did a survey of about 40 parents. They were both male and female, so dads and moms alike, different, various demographics in terms of, income and things like that. And the feedback was really good because I learned that about half of the parents are doing a skincare routine and half aren't. But then you see that they don't have any products to use for children. So that was the moment where I'm like, okay, that's where we fit in. That's the gap. And I already kind of knew that, but it was good to hear from parents that there are parents that are like myself who want to get their kids into the skincare routine, but there's nothing for them out there, or wasn't before Melon Brand Skin. So that's really good. And like you said, the data, I wrote that down, the data drives this. So I think that's really good. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. But I, as I said, I'm don't consider myself to be a marketing expert by any stretch. So, but I do think there's a lot of information out there, uh, that'll help you through that process. Also, different kinds of creative distribution channels like schools. Uh, you know, uh, there's all kinds of ways that you can put in daycare centers. Uh, I think that if you get the kids to buy into it as well, that helps.
It does, because they are the end user, and essentially the parents are buying it for them, but the kids have to be the ones that are going to be using it every day and incorporating that into their routine. So definitely. So that's a good tidbit for me. Thank you. And Terry, I have a quick question for you. So look, Manny knows I'm what you would call anti, LinkedIn social. Okay. I'm on LinkedIn. I've been on there for years, but I have a hard time struggling trying to interact and engage on there. And I know you have over 30,000, followers. So that is amazing. Is there anything that you can give us as far as, a strategy on what you do, how you do it to get people to become more, I guess, comfortable with it? And I'm good with social media, but like the professional aspect of it, I kind of shy away from.
Well, that's a good question. So I actually built my LinkedIn strategically. A lot of it was built during the pandemic. I literally went from like 2,000 to like 20,000 in 1 year. And the way I did that is because I was working from home a lot, and I strategically was finding people who were connected to the work that I was in related to, right? And connecting with them, asking them for a request, and then actually going in and actually direct message with them and actually building like an authentic relationship, right? And the direct message wasn't like a copy and paste, here's all about me, but more of like almost genuinely, hey, what's up? I had a lot of time during the pandemic, right? Because I was able to respond to a lot of people because I was on, quarantine. And so for me, I think like just a tip, it will be, aligning yourself. If you are into sports, find everybody in the world that's connected to sports. I mean, from managers, CEOs to anything that's connected to sports. If you're social justice, if you're kids related, and mine was broad because I'm into social justice, I'm into diversity, equity, inclusion, I'm into youth development, I'm into restorative justice, I'm into all these different kind of aspects. And so there was from people from police officers to company owners to CEOs to organizations to schools that I was able to build relationships with, right? And being able to have those genuine relationships in terms of saying happy birthday, saying congratulations to their pay raise, congratulations to their promotion, right? Those responses actually gave me opportunities. I've met some of my largest funders through LinkedIn. I went from meeting someone on LinkedIn to meeting them virtually to them writing a $30,000 check for my organization. I've done keynote speeches from LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the network that you want to be connected with. And I've also discipline. I think for me, it was a lot of discipline. I took myself away from other social medias. So I deactivated Instagram, Facebook, and all of those and just channeled into LinkedIn, which what that looks like, posting all my content on there. And that's another thing, continue posting, right? Like one of my highest posts, I got 9,000 likes, but I got 200,000 views, right? So almost 300,000 people viewed it, and the impressions is mind blowing. You might get 9,000 people that liked it, 4,000 people that commented, but 300 people viewed it, right? That means people are going into your page and you consistent. And so I'm excited. I appreciate this conversation, this opportunity. I think just like for me with LinkedIn is just keep posting, keep staying active, build that network. Right now, being 30,000 followers, I can't accept people. I know there's a lot of people that's trying to add me. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure that out. I can't add people. I think it's a new cap that LinkedIn had put on people, but I'm working on that, trying to figure out the best way. So 2024 is going to be an awesome year. I also host a social justice award. So if you haven't heard about that, you need to come out. We honor outstanding social justice legends and leaders. We'll be hosting the 5th annual Social Justice Awards, honoring people in the social justice field. And so I'm excited about doing this work. And I thank you, Manny, for this opportunity and this.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and we really could have kept going. Honestly, the Social Justice Awards is easily the best community event in Columbus. It's really not even close. Where you have cops, business people, lawyers, the mayor, everyone in the same room, young kids. So that's really something Terry needs to, I think, we need to be doing that everywhere. So really appreciate it. Hope you all could get connected.